Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're exploring the incredible lore of Solomon in Islamic tradition, and we're going to uncover how a tiny, seemingly insignificant insect actually sparked a massive, modern scientific debate. Let's get right into it. So how exactly does a legendary king, someone known for commanding massive armies and supernatural beings, end up right at the center of a modern biological debate among entomologists? It sounds crazy, right? But it's actually a fascinating journey from ancient theology straight to cutting-edge science. To really get this, we've got to start at the macro level. Solomon, or Sulayman ibn Dawood in Islamic tradition, wasn't just a king. He was an incredibly powerful prophet with some truly epic divine gifts. I mean, we're talking about the unique ability to speak to animals, the power to literally control the wind, and even command demons, or the shayateen, to build massive monuments for his kingdom. Now, this brings up a crucial distinction. Unlike Talmudic traditions, where his story takes a bit of a different path, the Quran explicitly states that Solomon was never a magician. He never fell into idolatry. His immense power absolutely wasn't dark magic. It came solely and directly from God. That absolute reliance on the divine is completely central to his character in Islamic literature. You can see this macro-level power perfectly in his fast-paced, high-stakes encounter with the Queen of Sheba, or Bilqis. First, Solomon's scout, which is actually a hoopoe bird, discovers the sun-worshipping queen. Solomon demands her submission to God, and when an Ifrit, a literal powerful demon, offers to fetch her massive throne, that demonic offer is bypassed for something even greater. A pious servant just teleports the throne instantly. Awestruck by this miracle, the queen submits to God. Moving to Section 1, the Valley of the Ants. We are taking a microscopic shift here. We're going from epic thrones and teleportation all the way down to the ground, where Solomon's massive, earth-shaking army is approaching a place known as the Valley of the Ants. As this gigantic force gets closer, a single female ant senses the extreme danger. She cries out to her colony, warning them, "Get into your habitations, lest Solomon and his hosts crush you without knowing it." And Solomon, gifted with that ability to understand animals, actually hears this tiny, tiny voice over the deafening roar of his entire army. He immediately halts, smiles, and humbly thanks God for the gift of hearing her, totally sparing the colony. Islamic exegetical literature actually elevates this tiny ant into something pretty incredible. Scholars note how she so efficiently protected her colony, but more profoundly, she serves as this stark reminder to the powerful king himself. She reminds him that his worldly reign, his vast armies, and all that immense wealth, it's all going to eventually pass like the wind. So a literal microscopic insect becomes an exemplar of wisdom for all of humanity. And this theme of tiny bugs having massive consequences, it continues right up to the very end of his life. According to the Quran, Solomon actually dies while standing, completely propped up by his staff. His enslaved jinn workforce just keeps toiling away, totally terrified, thinking he is still alive and watching their every move. So how do they finally find out? Well, a single, tiny termite gnaws away at his staff until his lifeless body collapses. It's a legendary king brought down by a termite, brilliantly proving to the jinn that they definitely did not possess knowledge of the unseen. Fast forward 1400 years to today, and modern Islamic scholars, particularly over in Indonesia, are actively reanalyzing this ancient story of the speaking ant. They use this really fascinating framework called tafsir ilmi, which is essentially scientific interpretation. They are looking at the Quranic text strictly through the lens of modern biology, linguistics, and physics. And that brings us straight to the core of an incredible modern debate. Who exactly was this speaking ant? I mean, was the ant who gave the warning acting as a supreme military commander like a true queen? Or was she just a worker operating within a highly decentralized biological system? Let's check out the linguistic argument first. Scientist Agus Purwanto looked really closely at the specific Arabic grammar used in the text. He noticed that the word used, al-namla, actually specifies a female ant. Furthermore, the verb used for her speaking, galat, firmly establishes a female speaker. And Purwanto points out she isn't just speaking casually here, she is issuing authoritative, life-saving commands to an entire community. Purwanto actually criticizes older dictionaries, like Mahmud Yunus's, for historically translating this specific ant as an ant king. He argues that translating it as king completely ignores the explicit Arabic grammar. So why did they do it?
Well, Perwanto suggests it was simply because of a subjective, totally unscientific assumption from the past that leaders and military commanders must inherently be male. So, Perwanto's ultimate conclusion is that this specific ant must be a queen, but not just a queen in name. He argues she functions as a supreme leader, giving explicit, top-down authoritarian orders to save her entire colony from total destruction.
He defends this logic by drawing a pretty brilliant, direct narrative parallel right within the text itself. Just as the female queen of Sheba, Bilqis, successfully led a powerful human nation in the previous episode of Sulayman's life, a female queen ant can logically lead an insect colony. It fits perfectly within the thematic structure of the story. It makes complete, logical, and linguistic sense.
However, as we know, science is rarely settled on just one perspective. The Ministry of Religion's LPMQ Institute approaches this exact same scientific interpretation, tafsir ilmi, with a completely different lens. Instead of focusing primarily on the linguistics, they focus strictly on modern biological reality.
The LPMQ entirely disagrees with this model of supreme leadership. They point out that, biologically speaking, ant colonies just do not operate like human armies. They actually operate via a decentralized command. They don't need and simply don't have a supreme leader barking orders to manage their daily lives or to respond to threats.
According to the LPMQ's biological reading, the queen ant has a very specific, very limited role. She is solely in charge of reproducing. Basically, she's an egg-laying machine, not a general. The rest of the colony operates via a highly efficient, peer-to-peer division of labor. So the ant that spoke up, well, it was likely just a worker ant reacting to a threat, not some supreme monarch.
And this brilliantly illustrates the real core of the debate here. Side A, Perwanto, relies heavily on linguistic structure to establish a supreme female leader, mirroring human royalty. Meanwhile, Side B, the LPMQ, relies on modern biological reality to establish a decentralized society without any central ruler. Yet both use science and reason to interpret the exact same ancient verses.
Now, we aren't here to decide who's right. That's absolutely not the goal of this explainer. Rather, this just illustrates the fascinating methodology behind how ancient texts are being dynamically reinterpreted. As our understanding of modern entomology, biology, and science evolves, the way scholars read and understand these texts evolves right alongside it. It's a living, breathing discourse that updates as human knowledge expands.
So, as we wrap up, we really have to ask ourselves a much bigger question. How might the scientific breakthroughs of tomorrow continue to reshape our understanding of humanity's most ancient, legendary stories? I mean, if a tiny ant can spark this much debate, what else are we going to discover in these texts tomorrow? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep questioning.